What is up, my ducks and drakes? Welcome to the Crowded Lake, and today we're reading chapters 10 and 11 of A Lesson in Practicality by ResidentAnchor on Wattpad. If you'd like to check out the fic, go ahead and do so with the links in the description, as well as the link to support the author, because they deserve it. Wonderful author. With that being said, here's chapter 10, The Search. Roman, come on, can you just get on with it? We've been waiting forever. Be patient, Virgil. Roman hasn't eaten properly all day since he's been running around. Patton placed a glass of juice on the table. Let him get a quick bite to eat first. Yeah. Roman took a swig of juice and went back to his sandwich. Thanks, Patton. Time traveling while trying not to screw up anything is very tiring. We aren't even sure anything would have happened. Logan spoke up from his seat at the table. It's all speculation. I'd rather not risk messing with things, Virgil muttered. Guess I can thank you for waiting around, Roman, even if you did freak me out. Roman stayed quiet as he continued to eat, finally slowing down and taking another sip before sighing. Okay, I'm good for now. What do you want to do? Or what do you want to know? Hello? The other one of us running around town? Virgil waved his arms around. How could you forget? Just want to know where to start. Roman cleared his throat. I mean, he was kind of cute, not my type, but I can see us totally being friends. Roman! What? Roman looked over at Virgil and shrugged. I didn't get his name or anything. I kind of just ran into him. Virgil rolled his eyes and shook his head. Are you serious? How did you run into him? Roman gestured to himself. With my body, of course. Oh, you actually ran into him. Patton giggled. That makes sense. Yes, well, I was just walking around, trying to avoid normal places you guys usually go. No jobs or parks or anything like that. I'm walking down the street and we suddenly bumped into each other. Are you sure it was him? Logan questioned. None of us know what he looks like, and I wasn't there to confirm anything. Roman groaned and ran a hand down his face. Just let me finish my story, okay? No more questions. He looked around and everyone silently nodded. Thank you. Anyway, I bump into him and accidentally shock him when I do, so of course I have to go. There seems to be a spark between us. I must be your Prince Charming, which he laughs at, of course. Roman. Virgil groaned, gritting his teeth. Enough, just get to the point. Fine, ruining my story. He shifted in his seat. Anyway, I finally let go, and the guy looks down, and his hands are doing the thing, you know? Roman holds up a hand, and small blue sparks connect to each other, finger lighting up the room. Like this. He looked kind of panicked and he ran off after that. You didn't chase after him? Virgil asked. You run into a guy and just let him go? Finding him again should not be an issue. It never really was. Logan began to ponder. However, the problem arises that this may not be the same person. The one we are looking for had powers similar to my own. So, Roman has someone like him too? Patton spoke up. Does that mean we all have someone like us? Maybe, Roman asked, picking up a sandwich once more. I didn't really stop him and ask him if he remembered anyone named Logan, but I figured if there was only one more person in the city like us, then it would have gone differently. This is all still speculation, Logan sighed. The only way to truly know is to go and ask him. We just have to think of a way to not scare him again. Easier said than done, Virgil mutters to himself. Roman stands up and goes to take care of the dishes. Well, I don't know about you three, but I haven't slept properly for far too long. It's been about 2 days. I'm going to take a much-deserved shower and head to bed. I mean, I wasn't going to mention anything. Roman shoved Virgil playfully as the other smirked back. Hey, you deserve it. Just remember, I did this for you, Black Cauldron. Virgil froze and looked away, ashamed. I know. Come on, you'll get a call that everything is fine and you can go back to work soon, okay? Roman put his hand firmly on Virgil's shoulder for a moment before walking away. Don't worry about it, kiddo. Patton smiled and looked up at Virgil. Looks like, in the end, things worked out. There's nothing to worry about. Patton got up and wished the other two good night, deciding to spend the night relaxing before going to bed. Virgil and Logan sat quietly before Logan stood up, preparing to leave himself. Hey, Logan. He turned back to look at Virgil, who made no movements that he had spoken. Should we really track this guy down? He looked over, tired from the night he had. Logan wasn't sure how long he had waited for Roman in frozen time, but it had been at least a few hours. Virgil looked ready to fall asleep at the table. I mean, if it didn't really work out the first time, what would make this so different? Perhaps having all of our work together and coming up with a plan might help. I was alone as to where we are, a group of sorts. Maybe being careful in approaching him to let him know he is not truly alone would help. Did that not work for us? Virgil nodded, staring back down at the table. Yeah, maybe you're right. Night, Logan. Do make it to your bed before you get some sleep, Virgil. The only thing the table will bring you is a few cramps. The next morning went as if nothing had occurred the night before. Each one danced around each other, preparing for their day ahead of them, except Virgil, who stayed in his room quietly since his job was currently unavailable. Roman had told Patton to let him sleep in for a bit. Things would fall back into place for Virgil soon enough. He was confident. They each left one by one, leaving the apartment completely still. Virgil eventually ventured out of his space, checking to make sure he was alone. Since Logan did not work from home as well, he was often the one always there, but today was a rare case where he had left for the bookstore. He scavenged for a snack before sitting on the couch with some granola to hold him over, music blaring from his headphones around his shoulders. He hadn't yet heard back from his job, and he could barely sleep the night before, just barely calming down from Roman's disappearing act. Virgil took some time to absorb everything that happened the night before. His job was broken into, a random act that threw him for a loop more than it should have. It resulted in him into running into Roman, gathering the courage to ask him to go back and help them out. He liked where he worked, and the owners were so kind and understanding. He was not a social person. The first few times customers had tried talking to him, he freaked out and ran the first chance he got. He quickly realized the owner's wife also suffered from high levels of anxiety, so they accommodated him well. Virgil was even able to get through conversations with customers now after working there for so long. Moving had taken a lot for him, but he had been holding himself together pretty well, and the others hadn't really noticed since he always hid in his room. His music was cut off by a loud, jarring alarm, causing him to jump. He pulled out his phone and sighed, shutting it off. The reminder to get ready for work was not needed for the day, and he quickly went back to music he had been listening to. He took a deep breath and fell sideways onto the couch. He hadn't really slept all that much after being awake for who knows how long. He tried keeping timers on to see how long he'd slept, but he was doomed to live in a world where time was a concept he just couldn't follow. It was easier for him to go based on how bright it was and the time of year more than what a clock told him. He thought back to the night before, watching Roman confidently stride through the portal and not return for what he could only guess was hours. He even peered through the portal himself and saw nothing out of the ordinary, calling for Roman before giving in and going back, staring up time again. Luckily, he knew when and where Roman had gone, so he knew if he had gotten help, they would track him down. Virgil was rather surprised that these things kept turning out all right. In the end, worried it would make Roman even more confident to stride right into danger and into a situation they can't fix. He hopped, closing his eyes for a moment. He felt rather lethargic today, and he wasn't quite sure it was the lack of rest. Virgil had fallen into a comfortable routine, and it had been broken. His first instinct was to break a rule of his and try to fix it. But now he wasn't sure it was quite worth the risk, simply because Roman was an idiot destined to get himself killed trying to play hero. Virgil had gotten more anxious about what the next stupid thing would be. Someone had to look out for that idiot. Virgil jumped from his spot on the couch and jolted upright, heart racing. He'd fallen asleep sometime during the day, lost in his thoughts, and a dream he couldn't quite remember had seemingly shocked him awake. Virgil took a slow, shaky breath and shook it off, much easier to do when you don't remember what you were dreaming about. He glanced down and saw his phone was nearly dead and had a few notifications, and perhaps a few hours had passed. The light from the window showed it was still earlier in the day, and he rubbed the sleep from his eyes. Slowly getting to his feet, he shuffled into the kitchen, finding Patton carefully pouring a glass as slow as he could. "Patton, what are you doing?" Virgil tried to clear the sleep from his voice. "Oh, you're awake. Sorry, I didn't make too much noise, did I?" Patton finished pouring his juice at a faster rate and twisted the cap back on. "I saw you taking a nap, so I tried to be as quiet as I could." "Nah, you're good, Pat. Woke up on my own." "Aw, not get much sleep last night?" "A night is just the darkness that scares those in a comfortable false sense of security where they sleep to pass it as quick as possible, not knowing that the true evils are the ones that can still hide in the light." "Oh, yay, that's more like the Virgil I know and love." Patton smiled a bit, glancing down at his juice. "But, when the darkness and light mix, you can get some cool things, like, shadow puppets. I can make a dog." Patton quickly demonstrated as he bent his fingers around, making Virgil snort and laugh. "That's great, Patton. Thanks." "So," Patton just seemed to radiate energy Virgil could only wish to have. "What are your plans for the rest of the day?" Virgil shrugged and stuffed his hands into his hoodie. "Don't know. Probably move more of what I've already done." "Are you still tired? It's probably not good to sleep so much if you plan on sleeping tonight, kiddo." "What can I say? I just feel like if I'm not good at going to sleep, maybe I should get some practice in." Patton took a sip of his juice before placing it down as a sound rang through the kitchen. Virgil put out his phone as the sound of his ringtone blared from his headphones. Work calling lit up on the screen, and Virgil didn't hesitate to answer. Hello? "Virgil, you sound like you just woke up. You doing okay?" He smirked at the concerned tone of his boss over the phone. "Hey, boss man. Couldn't sleep, but I'm okay now." "Good news. Great news. We watched the security footage, and it looks like they hardly were in the door before some random guy walked by and chased them out. The shop's in pretty good condition. We were going to keep it closed for one more day before opening it back up." "Oh, great!" Virgil perked up, suddenly panicking on the inside. He had forgotten to get the exact details from Roman about what happened, hoping he didn't do anything stupid where the cameras would have caught him. The camera just pick up one guy coming in and scaring them off? "Not sure. It cut out and was a bit fuzzy, but they suddenly were out and running down the street. The police aren't sure they'll catch them because of it, but at least we know someone came to our rescue." "Roman, you are so lucky, you clueless moron." Virgil let out a sigh of relief. "That's great. Need me to come in tomorrow?" Nah, we're going to clean the place up and get everything in order. We're also having extra security installed, but it's nothing we can't do. Just continue your schedule for the rest of the week. Things should be back to normal." "I'll see you in a few days then. Bye." Virgil ended and shook his head, looking out a big sigh of relief. "Roman is so lucky the cameras didn't pick him up. Looks like it worked out." That's great! Patton exclaimed. How about we go out for a walk and get something to celebrate? That sounds great, but I'm still pretty tired. Mentally, physically, emotionally. I'd rather just stay in today. Oh, that's fine. I get it. Want me to give you some space? Patton offered with a smile, not at all offended. It's hard to get me time with the others here, but they should be back in a bit. Virgil glanced over at his bedroom door and stared it down. Actually, can we just hang out? I don't mind just sitting and talking on the couch. Sounds perfect. Logan was happy to return home and even shocked to find Patton and Virgil casually lounging on the couch talking to one another. Logan! Patton perked at the other. Just in time, Virgil gave me a great idea. An idea for what, Patton? When we go meet this person Roman was talking about, of course. Ah, yes, our mysterious stranger. Logan readjusted his tie a bit looser. What would this idea entail? Well, whether it's the person who wiped your memories or the one who ran into Roman, we figured we should just be cautious, right? Virgil shifted upright onto the couch. So, we should definitely go together, but keep our distance as one of us talks to them, so who would be the best choice? Patton braced himself as a light shone out, causing two to emerge. Ta-da! Two called out. He can wipe my memories and that would be okay. Even if he shocks me, you'll still have a full team. I doubt he'd attack us on purpose. The real Patton spoke up, causing two to nod in agreement. It's not perfect, but it does give a level of security, Logan observed. Very well, that is something to consider. Oh, I'm free tomorrow night to try to find our new friend, Patton spoke up. So is Virgil, right? Two asked excitedly. Yeah, I have one more day. Looks like Roman was actually able to save the shop. Logan nodded in agreement. I am free as well, and I believe Roman told me he was available. All right, tomorrow afternoon. We shall find out who this mysterious person is, and if there are any others I may have missed, then we could find them too. Yay! Two turned and gave Patton a high five, disappearing in a flash of light. I can't wait. I know we'll be friends. Not likely, Virgil muttered, crossing his arms. I suppose you can continue planning when Roman arrives. Roman arrived right after dinner had been delivered, walking in as the pizza van pulled away. He opened the door and walked in, the aroma of pizza filling the air. I knew when I saw the delivery guy it was for us. I didn't feel like cooking, so, sue me. Roman rounded the corner to see Virgil sticking out his tongue at him. It's been a while. I started to think we were too responsible for pizza. Patton gasped and nearly dropped his slice. Roman, I am shocked at you. There is never a wrong time for pizza. Besides, we could always learn how to make it ourselves if we desired. Oh, that would be so much fun. Patton clapped happily. Having total control? An endless supply of pizza? Roman sat down with a plate of his own. So, Logan cleared his throat. We all seemed to be free tomorrow afternoon and decided we should finally get to try and find this mysterious person or persons left in the city. Roman shut up in surprise, looking around. Oh, tomorrow. When exactly? Do you have something better to do, Princey? Roman smiled brightly and sat up straight and tall. Actually, I have a date. Oh my goodness, Roman! Patton squealed with excitement. Oh, who is it? Where did you meet? What are you gonna do? Tell me. Roman laughed and placed a hand on Patton, holding him from bouncing around. One of the theater guys asked me out today, so we're gonna go out after I get out of work. Really? Virgil groaned. Dude, we aren't all going to be able to get together like this, and you know what the guy looks like. Are you telling me to cancel my date? What? No, Virgil huffed out. Couldn't you, push it back? Or at least come with us to find the guy before you get all kissy-faced? Why not just have Logan hunt him down for me like he did the first time? Why even need me? The first time didn't exactly work for me, Roman. Logan adjusted his glasses. I do not wish to delve too deep into their mind. Lest something bad happens again, I can find them, but having you for reassurance would help ease my nerves for a bit. Come on, guys. Patton looked back and forth between Logan and Virgil. I want our local hero there too, but this is a chance at love. Maybe, we can't stop that. I'm not asking him to stop it, just push it back a bit. Roman had a disdainful look on his face before letting out a big groan. Fine. If we do it early enough, I can be fashionably late for my date. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. I appreciate it, Roman, but Patton does have a point. I don't want you to give up your evening for us. No, it's quite all right. Roman ran a hand through his hair. I'll make it work. It's just a first date anyway. I am surprised you even managed to get a date. Roman looked over at Virgil with a smile, running a hand through his hair once more and keeping it pulled back. Well, of course. Haven't you seen me? He flexed his other arm a bit. Yes, I have, Gaston, and I've seen how your movie ends. Excuse me, Roman mocked offense. I may be just as handsome, but at least I'm not as ugly on the inside. I appreciate true inner beauty. I have to. We're friends, aren't we? Despite the insult, Virgil actually snorted out a laugh, shaking his head and going back to his food. Penn leaned over at Logan, a big smile on his face. I love it when the kids get along. We're not married, Patton. The next afternoon held an air of nervousness. Patton was calming down Virgil while Logan went over the base plans. Pat, too, was all ready to go, dressed in a different outfit than Patton. They would go to the center of town and Logan would start there, in the busiest area, until he found something. They would start on the bus and depart at the stop in town, making their way to the other route that circled around the other half. It was Logan's first plan that helped him locate the others in the first place, and he was sure it would work a second time. Let's just get this over with. I don't have much time, Roman huffed, adjusting his sleeves of his button-down shirt. We would have had more time if you didn't spend forever getting ready. I'm sure you wouldn't understand. You don't have the sense of taste and flair that I do. Thank goodness for that. Roman glared down at Virgil, who smirked back up at him. I'm kidding. Can we go now before I get even more anxious about this whole thing? They got on the bus and Logan brought out an old book to read, occasionally ducking down from time to time. Find anything? Roman whispered, leg bouncing repeatedly. No, and calm down. You're annoying the person 2 rows back. They all got off at the stop downtown and started their trek into the heart of the city. The next step was to find a secluded area and keep attention off of Logan as he checked around, making Virgil nervous about the whole thing. Anything? Virgil glanced around at pacing faces, eyes darting from one person to the next. Yes, please. I really don't want to ruin my hair before I even get there. Logan perked up and looked over at the others in surprise. Actually, yes, I have. Well, I found someone at least. Oh, where is he? Patton perked up, more enthusiastic than the others. Grocery shopping, it seems. Good, let's go. Virgil grabbed Roman's arm before he got too far ahead. Pump the brakes, Princey. There's a couple of grocery stores around. We don't know which one. Logan tucked his book away and nodded to the others, making his way through the streets with ease. Within a half hour, they were outside a grocery store Logan had led them to. He stopped and looked back at the others before they all walked in, one by one. Virgil grabbed a cart to make believe that they were actually there to shop, while Patton started off going about things they could pick up while they were already there. Logan waved Roman over to him and leaned in close. I don't want to check. Stores like this usually have a lot of cameras. If you see him, point him out, okay? Roman nodded and marched down a few aisles before stopping and turning around. Patton! Both Patton and his copy looked over at Roman. Perhaps we should make some pasta for dinner? Oh, well, I was actually going to Patton. Roman nudged his head to the side, down the aisle next to him. Red shirt, brown hair. Can I go now? Patton walked up and peered down the aisle. A couple of people were there, but only one had a red t-shirt on. Patton leaned back and gave a thumbs up to two, who made his way casually down the aisle. Thanks, Roman, Logan nodded at him. Enjoy your date. Thanks. He winked and quickly walked back towards the entrance and out of the store. I feel bad for the guy, Virgil muttered. Yes, I feel bad we kept him from his outing. Virgil shook his head. No, the guy that asked him out. Poor dude doesn't know what he's getting himself into. Shh! Patton whispered a bit too loud, looking down the aisle. Two had casually walked up and genuinely was holding a box of pasta, inspecting the different types of sauces and standing next to the one they had come looking for. He sighed and looked over at the man in the red shirt. Man, picking one of these just seems impossible sometimes. The man looked over and smiled at Pat, too, letting a small chuckle. Don't I know it? I don't mean to be saucy, Toof smiled brighter at the man, but I love me some pasta, all the way from my head down to my toes. This earned a louder, fuller laugh from the man, who shook his head. Okay, that was a good one. Toof stretched out his hand and gave his best smile. Patton! The man reached out and took it, shooting a smile back. Thomas! Well, Thomas, it was really nice to meet you. I knew you were a man of excellent taste. Thomas shook his head at Patton. What can I say? I enjoy a good pun. He turned and faced Pat, too. Finny, for your thoughts? Two let out a laugh, and Patton had to cover his mouth, fully enjoying what he could hear from down the aisle. Not much, Two answered. I've been teaching my new roommates how to cook lately, but nothing like going back and making some good old-fashioned pasta once in a while, am I right? Patton suddenly walked down the aisle to his duplicate, causing Virgil to grab Logan's arm. Where is he going? That's not part of the plan. Hey? Patton walked up and with a smile. Oh, you made a friend. Thomas looked back and forth at the two in shock. Don't mind him, Patton spoke to Thomas. This is just my copy. Good old number 2. Logan smacked his palm in his face as Virgil let out a groan. But Patton simply took it as a joke and spoke nothing of it. Well, it's very nice to meet you as well, Patton. Patton here was just telling me some jokes. He was really crushing it. Thomas motioned to the cans of crushed tomatoes with a smile. Both Patton and Two laughed and looked at one another. You're a really funny guy, Thomas, Patton said. Thomas looked confused for a moment and looked over at Two. I just told you my name. How did he know it? Patton jumped and looked over at Two, who was just as blindsided at their slip-up. Patton muttered. Twin telepathy? Two asked, more than stated. Or, I heard you when I was coming down the aisle, Patton said with a shrug. Saw he was making a friend and decided to keep out of it for a bit. Oh, Thomas asked, looking back at his hand basket of groceries. Well, it was really nice to meet you both, but I really... Hey, Patton interrupted. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but you should meet my roommates. Logan sighed and looked down at Virgil, who shrugged before speaking. I knew it was going too well. He's thrown the plan out of the loop. What do you think? Logan looked down the aisle again before standing up and adjusting his tie and heading down the aisle. Ah, there you two are, Logan approached, trying not to eye down the man. I apologize if they've been harassing you. They can be a bit... Logan looked up at Patton and his duplicate. Friendly. Not at all, Thomas said, shifting the weight of the basket in his arms. How rude of me. Logan extended his hand out to Thomas, ignoring the silent cries he was sure Virgil was giving him. My name is Logan. Thomas went to extend his hand out and stopped pulling it towards him. Logan, he muttered, eyeing the man waringly. Have we met before? I do not recall having met you before. Logan chose his words carefully. Have we? Thomas looked over at the two Pattons and slowly reached out, taking Logan's hand. A shockwave of warmth shot between the two, and Thomas suddenly pulled his hand back, dropping the basket. It's you, he muttered, turning towards Pattons. And you two are... His eyes flashed and shifted back and forth between the three men, diving between two and running out. He shoved Patton out of the way, and two jumped, giving chase. They flew by Virgil, who watched Pat 2 run out of the store. Patton, wait! He ran after them, stopping at the doorway. He glanced around, looking through the parking lot and down the sides of the building. Logan emerged out of the building with Patton, and all three glanced around. Where did he go? Logan muttered. Virgil shook his head. I don't know. I don't run very fast. I got out of here and they were just gone. Patton let out a big sigh. I think I feel him. He's okay. Patton turned to Logan. Can you track him down? Logan blinked down at his hands and shook his head. I need to clear my head a bit. He turned and started walking down the street. Virgil looked up at Patton. Can't you call him? Patton shook his head. No, I can only duplicate what I'm wearing, but technology doesn't transfer over. I can feel him, but not where he is or anything. Unless 2 comes back, I don't know what's going on. Virgil grabbed the sides of his head and pushed his hair back. Great, this is great. Your copy is on the loose with some possible maniac and we don't know what's going on, and Logan is freaking out, so I'm freaking out? Patton calmly placed a hand on Virgil's back, causing him to spin around. Sorry. He held up his hands. Just calm down, Virgil. Deep breaths. You're okay. We don't need to be worried because 2 is okay and Logan is okay and we're both okay. Virgil took a shallow breath a few times before managing a decent, big breath. Patton reached up and rubbed his back. Feel any better? Virgil nodded. Sorry, I kind of got away from myself. He smiled timidly up at Patton. At least it wasn't a panic attack, am I right? Patton jumped up at the news. Wait, do you have those? Virgil shrugged and looked away. I usually hide away in my room, and I've been pretty okay lately, so... Oh, Virgil! Patton stepped closer and slowly wrapped his arms around the younger man, making sure he was comfortable with it. You've got us now, okay? You can always count on me. Virgil just lets himself be indulged by the hug, looking down the street where Logan had walked off to. I guess things could have gone worse. Oh, on the bright side, Patton leaned back a bit. Thomas likes puns. That's a win in my book. Virgil laughed and shook his head. He handled 2 of you pretty well. Looks like he knew Logan, so he must have been the one who ran into him a few months back. Virgil pulled out of the hug, looking up at him in confusion. Roman said that was the same person he ran into, that shot out electricity. His eyes shot open. Wait, what if he copies powers? That explains both the memory stuff and electricity. How would that work? He didn't copy anything from me, and I was right there, Patton frowned at the discovery. That's a good thing, since we were in public place, but doesn't make sense. Virgil ran through the meeting in his head. 2 shook his hand. Did you? Patton thought about it and gasped. No! Since Pat 2 technically can't duplicate, nothing happened. Wait, he did push me. It wasn't skin contact. That might matter. Virgil grabbed Patton's wrist. Come on, we have to find Logan and tell him. Then we can start looking for 2 and this Thomas guy. Patton nodded, and they jogged down the road, searching for both their roommate and Thomas.